A couple things before we talk about week 10. Number one, I'm 8-2, so I got my 1 seed, so that's going to give me confidence to give some strong analysis. Second, sometimes before I do the recap, I look at the most recent chats to see, last season, they were like, oh, let's see Rick, like talking shit like fun in a fun way. Some like Rick stuff. Not one this time. Not one time in the last few weeks as a Baron. So we're going to do a quicker one this time, just for, attention grabbing. Also, we're just going to absolutely say the strongest opinions ever to rile people up. Because we gotta get some attention back. So let's break it down. These are going to be genuine. I'm not doing it I'm going to do Stephen A. Smith. Actually, Stephen A. Smith, I don't think is genuine. If you have a commentator that's genuine, gives genuine takes, but is very dramatic about it, that's who I'm going to be here. So let's talk some fantasy. I also always forget 6 teams make the playoffs in this league. So I'm going to start with that. That's ridiculous. 6 out of 10 teams make it. You just need to have a not horrendous team and you make the playoffs. I think that's a joke. Wow. See, I feel bad now already being mean. But that's my opinion, is that 4 teams should make the playoffs in these situations. Would give you an extra week of regular season. Does not let bad teams make a playoff. Because the thing with fantasy playoffs is it's complete luck. Like, there's so much luck involved and any team could do it. You could pick up like Thomas Rawls in week 15 and you get 30 points. That has nothing to do with the season. So with all that being said, shout out to Thomas Rawls. With all that being said, let's talk about the blowouts. We're going to be, again, doing the matchups a little bit quicker. There were some close games actually this week. So there weren't any insane blowouts outside of the shocking one. That is what we're going to start with, which was El Captain beating Glory Hole 183 to 116. I mean, I think it's a story of a team underperforming and a team very much overperforming, but El Captain getting a huge win to go to 6-4. This is the most surprising, I think, blowout of the season. And at some point, you got to give El Captain credit. I said at 4-4, it's an underrated team. Now that you're 6-4, not underrated. But did I expect this? I did not. A lot of it has to do with James Conner getting in 2 times. The criticism about James Conner is he's touchdown dependent. And I mean, technically he proved that, but he's got 2 touchdowns. So what are you going to do with that? I think the concern here is what you got at wide receiver in the bottom half. Lazard not looking like the main guy in Green Bay. And Amari Cooper. Is Donovan Peoples-Jones also wide receiver? I don't even know there. McLaurin with Heineke, though, is a wide receiver 1. I'm surprised he didn't get the start this week. I wonder if you're going to fit him in. Of course, you're going to get Stevenson back. So this team's only getting better. For El Captain, I'm going to hold true to the fact that there's certainly a playoff team, and there's a team that could make a run. I mean, we're going to go back to Glory Hole saying, Glory Hole's my team. I mean, I said underrated at 4-4, they're 5-5, so I have not hit it on that one just yet. But I'm going to stay true to this team because the ceiling is just so high for every one of these players. I'm still expecting more from Herbert when you get Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back. Dalvin Kamara, I don't really need to stand up for. I think most people see it, and most people see it with Tyreek and DK as well. Is DJ Moore an area of concern? Absolutely. I think I plugged, as I mentioned, Ayuk into that wide receiver 3 spot and get kind of cute with the flex week to week. I think there's a team that might benefit from a trade, but I think the depth that I saw before isn't there, but the top heaviness is still there. And I think Glory Hole is still a scary team you don't want to play in the playoffs. So I'm going to hold true to this team being my prediction to ride all the way through. But of course, when you look at this team next to El Captain, these teams are looking very similar. The next biggest blowout was between Paco Libre and Cesar Trons. Paco Libre winning 145 to 113. Definitely another game that has big playoff implications. But again, I guess with 6 teams making it, every game has playoff implications. But Paco Libre, a really, really big win at 7-3, just establishing himself as one of the top teams in this league. Again, I said underrated at 5-3. They're now at 7-3. A lot of that has to do with McCaffrey proving to continue to have value in San Francisco. No, I am not concerned that Eli is taking a lot of carries because McCaffrey's getting more snaps and passing game work. Tua Tagovailoa is proving to be a QB1. Josh Jacobs continuing to prove to be an RB1. And it goes back to the wide receiver group of this team. I mean, Debo, again, usage is definitely concerning. 100% a little bit concerning. But you have so many options at wide receiver. I just have to imagine that you're going to make it work. Even going all the way to your 5th best wide receiver, Christian Kirk. So I'm not so concerned. Would I love to see a 2-for-1 wide receiver trade? This team and another team that doesn't have the wide receiver depth you have, maybe Olave and Waddle for, wide receiver 1. Yes, something like that would make this team even stronger, but this is an obvious playoff team that I think can make a run. For Caesar, our guy Caesar, we got a lot of love for Caesar. He's a great guy. We said appropriate at 4-4. We think 5-5 is appropriate as well. Jerry Jeudy was an injury that came with some bad luck for sure, but a lot of just weak starts this week. I mean, you don't want to be starting all of these guys, Judy, Gabriel Davis, Tony, and Matt Collins as your wide receiver group. A couple of them panned out, but there's no way that wide receiver group is strong enough to compete against, top teams consistently. So we will look to get a lot of your running backs back, and we will get T. Higgins back, but there's a strong running back team that could benefit from some wide receiver love. I think of all teams that can make a trade, this team's one of them. And in fact, before I even continue, I'm going to pop in to see if any trades have happened as of late. How do I see recent trades? I want to see recent trades. I always forget to look. You know what? I don't think I'm on the trade tab, and I don't see any trades being discussed there. So I'm gonna guess that there's been no trades, unless I just don't know how to look at trades. Oh, recent activity, trades. Here we go. No trades all season. I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. This is disgusting. I can't answer the phone. I'll text them back. Okay, so resuming right here, we're gonna continue to talk about this matchup. We talked about Caesar. We talked about Paco Libre. Sorry, we're not going to talk about this matchup. We're going to talk about the next biggest blowout, and that's El Granas versus Team Event with Jared. This actually should have been earlier. El Granas 164 to 113. Gigantic week. El Granas, a team that I think I've always believed in. I hope I haven't said anything mean. I said underrated at 4-4, 5-5. I still think underrated. I think top to bottom strong team. Mostert with a good week, which is huge for you. But of course, I don't love Mostert with Jeff Wilson now, so we would hope that Najee's going to give you more value. I still think I would go Najee over Mostert. I hope I don't regret to say that. But you're going to get Mike Williams back. I think this team's only going to keep trending up. And I think this win is indicative of what's going to come. I think there's a playoff team that's going to make noise in the playoffs. We went with Jared. Tough loss to 113 points. Fournette's injury, of course, bad news for you. Monty's usage, of course, bad news for you. I think there's the opposite. I think there's a team that's trending downwards. Of course, you're going to get Lamar back, but Darrell Henderson's losing his role. Carter's usage is only going to go down. Jamar Chase's injury is still question mark. So it's still a strong team. Absolutely not done trading. Absolutely can make the playoffs, but do I see this team making a run in the playoffs? I personally do not. So I'm going to leave it there. I think I had a We Went With Jared prediction earlier in the season. I forgot what it was. But I think overall this season, in preseason ranking, I gave him... What would we give people? No, Jared. Gave him like middle of the pack. Still think middle of the pack, maybe a little bit below. So I'm going to stay there. The next biggest blowout was between Pain Train and I Did It All for the Wookiee. Don't know what that means, but Pain Train, Justin Fields, that's the whole story. I mean, you get off week from Derrick Henry, make up with Justin Fields. I mean, you're just a team that's had an upgrade from the quarterback position. I'm assuming he's going to go over Burrow rest of the season. So that's just a gigantic change for your team. I don't love the depth, but I think it's a fairly top-heavy team that can make a run as well. I think at 5-5, just a gigantic win over another team that was battling. I think this could make the difference in the playoffs, and I think it will. But hey, I did it all. I don't even want to call you the full name. I did it all for the Wookiee. I think ultimately it's still a very strong team. I mean, I love Devontae, wide receiver 1. I love Kenneth Walker, running back 1. I love Josh Allen, quarterback 1. The depth has always been the concern with this team, and it still continues to be a concern. I don't love the opportunity for this team to win it all because, again, you got to win 3 straight games in the playoffs, and I don't see the consistency here. But this team can make a run, and there are some solid high-ceiling guys. So I think it definitely is a team that's still threatening. So that's all I'll say about that. Caesartrons against Pac. Oh, sorry, we talked about that. My gosh, I'm a mess. Sorry, my friends are coming over from California in 2 minutes, and they keep calling me. The last matchup, though, was a real close one and a big one. Chairman getting the win 143 to 140 over Untouchables. I have said Untouchables I thought was going to have a weaker end of season and overrated at 5-3. They fall to 5-5. My predictions actually kind of sick, honestly. Kind of sick predictions. Not a bad week for Untouchables, though. 140 points. Definitely a solid team. I don't want to be too harsh on them. While I don't like the McKenzie start, and you got some bad luck with that Goddard fumble, which actually cost you the game. It's actually ironic. You lost by 3 points. I didn't lose, but I was playing for top points. We give money to top points every week, and I also lost that by 3 points because of that fumble. Probably would have ended up getting the win. So that's disappointing, of course, for you. But yeah, I mean, a lot of weak starts. Thielen, Sutton's still a question mark, although I have him as well. McKenzie, just for a playoff team, if we want to talk playoffs, it's not looking great. As far as, some loss in value in Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Boyd when Jamar comes back. But you plug Jeff Wilson in, I think this team can still put some wins together, although, as I've said all season, at the best, I think they're a one-and-done team, personally. Whereas the Chairman, a huge win to go to 4-6. My prediction was Chairman ends up 500. I said underrated at 3-5. I still feel that way. I think this team will be able to squeeze in. I think better chance of squeezing in than Untouchables, despite being a game behind. Because Etienne and Eckler is just such a solid quarterback, running back group. Oh my gosh, I'm losing it. And I think the wide receiver group's just enough to pass. And with, of course, you have Mark Andrews and a good Baltimore D rest of the season. I think there's just such a middle-of-the-road team that is also a one-and-done team. So I'm going to add to that prediction of Chairman will go 500. I'm going to say, and squeeze in and go one and done. So that's what I'll leave it at. But anyway, best of luck next week, guys. Talk to you soon.